I got it.
Yes, I got a SayoDevice, and I mostly love it. I have a couple issues here and there, but I think it is really good and I want to talk about it. So for those of you who don't know, let me get you up to speed. The SayoDevice is a piece of hardware that a lot of Geometry Dash community members have been playing with and swearing up and down that it is one of the best controllers you could use for this game. The reason for this? Extremely technical. So let's break this down. The first term that I need to explain is polling rate. Polling rate is effectively how often your computer and input device communicate with each other. Effectively, it's basically your computer going,
"Hey, I need you to press up arrow." Thank you.
This right here is a wired G502 Hero. This is one of the most popular computer mice used in the GD community. This thing used to be top dog before stuff like the SayoDevice became popular. One of the things that makes this mouse so good is that it has a 1000 Hz polling rate. And what that means is that aforementioned conversation I mentioned earlier where the computer's like, "Hey, is he clicking?" And the mouse is like, "Yeah, he's clicking." And the computer's like, "Okay." That happens 1000 times per second with the G502 Hero. This results in an insanely accurate experience and makes for some really intense precision when it comes to hard levels. The other thing I need to explain for this is rapid trigger. However, this one's actually pretty tricky to explain. However, for layman's terms, it makes things way more precise in terms of travel distance. So whenever you have a normal key on a keyboard, you have to press it down a certain amount for it to activate and have it go up a certain point for it to deactivate. This is travel distance, and this basically means that it is a static button. Rapid trigger, however, allows you to customize and change where the key activates and deactivates. It's really hard to explain, but this effectively gives you the sensation that regardless of how far you've pressed down, if you start moving the key down, it'll activate, and if you start moving the key up, it will deactivate, regardless of the distance. This gives an insane level of precision because it all just comes down to you and your intent. Now here's the thing. 1000 Hz polling rate is decent. Rapid trigger is amazing. However, you can actually go higher than 1000 Hz polling rate. But here is where we run into two major issues. First of all, devices that have higher than 1000 Hz polling rate tend to not have rapid trigger, and devices that have rapid trigger tend to not have higher than 1000 Hz polling rate. That being said, there are devices out there that can give you both. For example, Wooting keyboards are really good. Wooting keyboards have an 8000 Hz polling rate alongside rapid trigger, which is really ideal and really good. However, there's a new issue that crops up when you start looking into these, and that issue is very simple.
It's just an ordinary... Oh my goodness!
So with all of that explained, let's turn our attention to the SayoDevice. The SayoDevice has an 8000 Hz polling rate, it has rapid trigger, and best of all, it is only $30 on Amazon. So with everything I've explained to this point, you can kind of understand why the SayoDevice would be so hyped up, and everyone has been freaking out about this thing. However, when I ordered mine, I did it mainly just because, I don't know, I figured why not, right? Everyone's saying it's good, I might as well try it out. But upon ordering it, I couldn't help but wonder, is it really as good as people say? Yes! Without a doubt, the SayoDevice has helped a ton in making this game significantly more playable in a lot of different ways. But, with that being said, I want to be very clear. This is a very honest review of the SayoDevice. And because of that, I want to make something very clear right off the bat. The SayoDevice does not make you better at the game. This is a misconception I've been seeing across the internet a ton. You need to already be good at the game to feel a benefit from the SayoDevice. You're not going to suddenly jump from the Nightmare to 9 circles because you bought a Sayo. You're not going to jump from Layak to the Golden and pull a Space UK, but legit, because you bought a Sayo. The Sayo makes the game more bearable to play and makes the game more playable overall, but it does not make the game easier. Alright, so with that in mind, let's talk about some non-hardware specific things. Beyond the advantage, beyond the fact that it does help with accuracy, what does this thing do for you? And this is a weird question to ask, so let me explain what I even mean by this with an example. So, for hardware on my PC, I have a Logitech G502 Hero, and I also have a Red Dragon Devarajas, I think I'm saying that correctly, a Red Dragon Devarajas K556 keyboard. Both of these devices have a 1000 Hz polling rate. However, due to, quite simply, comfort, I find that the G502 is easier to use. Both of these have comparable hardware, and I can do about the same thing with one as I can do with the other, but simply, I find using the G502 more comfortable. There are pros and cons to every devices, and the Red Dragon keyboard, as good as it is, just has a pretty steep travel distance, unlike a mouse where there's practically none, so it's the little things, you know? So what does the SayoDevice provide over mouse and keyboard that makes me want to switch to it? Well, to put it quite simply, these are some of the best keys I have ever pressed. First things first, let's talk about the keys on the SayoDevice. These keys are, unironically, without a doubt, some of the best keys I have ever pressed. Sometimes I will fidget with this thing even if I'm not doing anything because they feel just that good. Like, it's taking effort for me to just not in the middle of recording, you know? You know those different stim tools you can buy, like the fidget cube, right? Well, I am convinced that if this company took the SayoDevice, gutted it of all its internals, so it just didn't have any technology, it was just 3 buttons and no tech, it was literally just a brick with buttons on it. I'm convinced that if they did that and they sold it for like $5, it would sell as like one of the best fidget toys on the market. Now that seems like a weird thing to praise a controller for, and trust me, I get it, that is weird, right? But like, the thing about it, and the point I'm trying to make, is that these keys really feel good to press. Like, it is legitimately just that good. I genuinely don't know how, but this device manages to feel and perform like mechanical keys because, well, it's mechanical keys, but it manages to perform, feel, and be mechanical keys while having the feel and satisfaction of an arcade game button. I'm actually not joking when I say, even if this thing matched the G502, you know, it had a 1000 Hz polling rate and it did not have rapid trigger, I'd probably still use it just because of how good it feels. Now here's the thing. I find this thing really, really good in terms of how it feels to press the buttons, and overall it's a really nice set of keys, right? However, I will be totally honest and say that I do also have some problems with the SayoDevice, so I'm going to do something I haven't seen a lot of people do, and that's, I'm going to talk about the downsides to the SayoDevice, because there are a few. Before I get into that, however, I want to talk about the customizability about the SayoDevice, because A, it's just really cool, but B, beyond talking about it, there's actually an important point that needs to be made. There is actually a SayoDevice website, and when you go to that website with the SayoDevice plugged in, you can actually customize a lot of things about the SayoDevice. For example, you can change the SayoDevice's lights and make them display differently. In my case, I have it set up so that whenever I press a key, it creates an orange light to indicate the key is being pressed, because I think that's very neat, and that actually helps me explain some things for this video later down the line. However, you can set the lights to display a constant color, you can make them do these sort of RGB pulsing effects, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. You can also customize the screen. Normally when you idle on a SayoDevice, it shows a little Nan Cat animation, but you can actually change that to whatever you want, although I have not figured out how to do this yet as of recording because I'm an idiot. Now I explain all of this to say that my next point might entirely be user error, and if that's the case, I definitely want to be transparent about that. However, at that point, I also just want to say that this being a mistake I made, this is also easily a mistake that you could make. So here's the thing. The SayoDevice keys are really sensitive, like really sensitive. And this is due to a mixture of rapid trigger existing combined with the keys being really well made. However, they are so sensitive that it is very easy to press keys down by accident. Even if you were to just lean something really light on the keys, it'll probably press down, even though visually it doesn't even look like the key is being pressed. There are two main downsides that come from this. The first is the SayoDevice is an awkward thing to grip. We'll actually be getting more into that in a second, but once you find a comfortable grip, no matter how that grip is, it's pretty likely that you're going to rest your hand down to the right. And if you rest your hands over any of the keys, it is legitimately possible that you press those keys by accident. This actually ends up being a bigger problem than you'd think, because if you're pressing down on, say, the middle key, which was the key I used for a long time, and then you accidentally lean your hand down on the right key, and that also registers an input, it's possible for both inputs to drop in-game. Okay, so quick little addendum. I was editing the video, and I was doing some testing, mainly because a friend of mine behind the scenes told me, oh, maybe the Sayo device has snap tap, and I'm like, what the fuck is snap tap? Snap tap is apparently a thing that some new Razer keyboards have, where it basically, instead of holding inputs, it drops them to create near-perfect precision for stuff like strafing and Counter-Strike. And I hear that and I'm like, oh, intentionally dropping inputs, so maybe that's it, right? But there's two problems with that. So, well, yes, it'll intentionally drop an input, right? It only does that if it's bound to jump. So, like, if I head over to the SayoDevice website, right, and I switch over to these bindings, which are my platformer bindings, and I do the same thing but with left to right, it never drops an input. Which, if it had snap tap, from what I understand, it would. And also, even more confusingly, is that this input dropping behavior also happens on my keyboard. So apparently this isn't a Sayo device exclusive issue, and this input dropping is only being caused by the aforementioned thing of the buttons being close together. It's not fucking snap tap, it's, I don't know. I'm very confused. The more I mess with this, the more confused I get. That doesn't invalidate my point, however, because keep in mind, yeah, I don't fully understand why it's happening. There's a chance it's not the Sayo device's fault, all that kind of stuff. The Sayo device is the only thing I've used where this is, like, an issue, because, you know, if it happens on my keyboard, but at least on my keyboard the jump buttons are far apart, so I'm not going to activate two at once by accident. And with my G502, it just doesn't happen. So, whatever the case, it's very easy to accidentally press two buttons at once, and if you do that, it can cause you to void click, which is very annoying in a game like Geometry Dash. Luckily, void clicking as an issue, it's only really going to be a make or break issue for some people, especially considering you can work around it and find ways to adapt and simply just adjust your grip so that you don't accidentally press two buttons at the same time. Even though it has void clicking, at least there's a workaround to get around it. And honestly, even if there wasn't, I know a lot of people will still use meta gear, even if that gear void clicks. Put it this way, anyone who's watching this video that ever used the Razer Basilisk knows exactly what I'm talking about. People will still use it even if it has an issue like that. Another bizarre issue that I genuinely can't explain that I've been running into is that keys being pressed will be voided by Control, Shift, and Alt on my keyboard. I have no idea why. What I do know is that I have the buttons on my Sayo mapped to up, spacebar, and W, and all of those keys on my keyboard do also get voided, which is weird, because mouse click does not get voided. And so, honestly, this is like a broader issue that goes beyond the Sayo. This isn't the Sayo's fault, but it is worth noting that if there's an issue with a keybind on your keyboard, that keybind will also have an issue on the Sayo, which is just something that's worth noticing. Beyond that, though, if anyone in this watching this video knows why this is happening, let me know, because I really need to fix this. Now, with everything we've talked about up until this point, my sentiment on the Sayo device basically ends up being that you have to make some sacrifices to use it, but my God, those sacrifices are worth being made. However, this next issue, and this is the last issue, which, yeah, there really aren't a lot of drawbacks to the Sayo, but this was one of them, and this is a pretty major drawback. Like, this is a big issue, and it will make or break whether or not you decide to get this thing, whether or not this bothers you. Look, I'm gonna come out and say it. Sayo device, not very comfortable to use. The buttons feel great, don't get me wrong, but actually using this thing is really awkward. The thing about the SayoDevice is that it is really, really tiny. Just to put this into perspective, here's the SayoDevice compared to the arrow keys on my keyboard. That is the exact same size, to the point where I can take keys off of my keyboard and put them on the Sayo, and they will fit, and vice versa. It's because of that it's actually kind of hard to find a comfortable way to hold the SayoDevice. I'm only just now getting used to it, and I've had the Sayo for about a month. Comfort with the Sayo is honestly just a weird topic, and beyond that point, if you're uncomfortable in just the environment you're playing in, that can also make a huge difference. Recently, after years of service, my desk chair broke, and I actually have had to use these sort of temporary replacements until I get a new one, because, well, it takes time, you know? And my first replacement was this stupid fucking steel chair. This looks like the kind of thing you'd see people's heads getting caved in with in WWE. This chair was so uncomfortable that it was giving me severe back pain, and during the time I was sitting in this chair, I couldn't use the Sayo. It was just too much. There was a level that I was trying to beat, I forget the name of it, but I was trying to beat this level and I just couldn't use the Sayo. I couldn't beat it with the Sayo because I just felt so uncomfortable. The discomfort of the Sayo combined with the discomfort of the chair made it so I couldn't play the game at all. I switched to my G502 and I beat it in like 4 attempts. Despite the fact the G502 is significantly worse than the Sayo in terms of performance, I played better with it purely just for comfort alone. If you are in a comfortable environment and you figure out how to hold the SayoDevice comfortably, it's a beast, and I would definitely prefer it over my G502. But if you're not in an environment where you can use the SayoDevice comfortably, yeah, no, it's a pain. All that being said, however, I absolutely love the SayoDevice, and at $30, I definitely do not think that it is a bad investment. And this is where I want to talk about the final thing about the SayoDevice. The way it helps you improve with specific skill sets. Now, as I said earlier, the SayoDevice is not going to suddenly make you good at the game. That's not what this thing does. You're not going to suddenly go from beating Wild West by Dansman to Layak. What it will do, however, is make very specific things that you already know how to do just a little bit easier. I'm going to demonstrate an example in real time for real, so you can noticeably see how much easier this makes certain things. A good example I like to use is microclicking. Microclicking with the SayoDevice is legitimately just easier. I have my G502 in my hand right now, and I'm going to try to microclick as short of a click as I can. Right? And now we're going to do the same thing with the Sayo. It is noticeably smaller. You might have to look kind of closely, but I clicked way shorter with the Sayo, and this is just my jump height on average. Notice what I mean? Like, I am way better at microclicking with the Sayo than with the mouse. I think out of anything, though, the thing that the SayoDevice helps with the most is any precision-based game mode. Stuff like the wave, or the cube, or the ball. It helps a ton with those game modes. I've also noticed that I'm able to hold click patterns a lot steadier, especially in UFO sections, and in general, anything that involves input precision the SayoDevice is really good for. All in all, I think the SayoDevice is fantastic for GD, and I definitely think the hype is very much understandable. I can only imagine, by the way, how this scales up to harder levels, because you gotta also keep in mind, my hardest is Cataclysm, which is under the top 1,000 for extreme demons, right? Cataclysm is nowhere near comparable to the kind of stuff that people like Zoink play, and so I could only imagine how good this thing is in terms of precision if you're already good enough to play stuff like Slaughterhouse. And at $30, I definitely think that the SayoDevice is worth the money. This thing is fantastic, and it is just... I don't know, I love this thing a lot. There is one final thing I want to talk about at the very end of this video. There are alternatives to the SayoDevice, but I haven't looked into them. I want to mention them here just so that people know that I'm aware of them, but Just know that the devices I'm about to discuss, I'm not necessarily giving an opinion on because, well, I don't own them, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about whether or not they're good, let alone in the GD community. So, I am aware there are other devices, like, for example, Wooting, the keyboard company that I mentioned earlier that made that really expensive keyboard that's basically like a full keyboard, but it has rapid trigger and 8,000 hertz polling rate. They kind of make their own Sayo device that just has like an uwu face on it, and I have no idea. I mean, maybe this thing's good. It is kind of positioning itself to be a direct competitor to the Sayo device, so I have no idea, but this thing is actually pretty similar in price to the Sayo device, so who knows, maybe this thing is good, but I don't know. And that's really all I have to say about the Sayo device. This thing is a fantastic piece of technology, and I think the rest of this video to close out is just going to be a clip compilation of things that I've managed to hit, in which I'm pretty convinced that the only reason I hit these clips so easily is because I hit them with the Sayo device. These clips range everywhere from the moment I took this thing out of the box and started using it, to pretty much right now.
Wait, is there an MC element? Holy shit. Nick element. Nick element.
Yos Matt said I love red 40. Yos Matt said you me.
Oh my god, it's 115. I was just... It's must
I beat it! Holy shit! I've been trying to do this wave challenge for a year and a half.
Sayo, man! Save
What the fuck is the Sayo?
Am I killing someone? Anyway, and then he got cancelled by Kendrick Lamar for saying the N-word. Sonny, never put the hot dog in the face. No. Why? Yeah, we can fly. You're losing the plot. Me when I lost the script to the movie and writing, I lost the plot.
What? No way, I just beat my new best on the first attempt.
Gonna become a fucking super villain.
No, he is actually gonna become a 360.
I was doing some fucking devious ass click patterns through that shit too. What the fuck? Oh my god!
But what the fuck?
You did it!
You okay?
Well, another thing that feels harder for me is, again, harder and easier in different ways, is ship. Ship is another one of those ones that I have weird things with. Yeah, I can't do cracks part with the Sayo.
Oh. Sayo diff.
I wasn't trying to beat it. I guess that's going in the clip compilation. See, my problem is that the ship feels heavier, and it's throwing me off.
Is it because this level uses the old ship physics and you got used to the new ones?
No, it's regular gravity ship feels heavier with the Sayo.
Huh. I wonder. I think it might feel heavier because, like, if you do the same click patterns you would on mouse. Oh, there you go.
What the fuck?
Holy shit!
What?
Yeah, so ship's harder on Sayo, right? That's yeah. Ship's harder on Sayo. Keep go on.
Because, like, I still feel like ship is harder. That felt like a fluke run. But at the same time, I don't think that's something you're normally able to fluke, so I don't know.
Yeah, like...
I know what's causing the double clicking and dropped inputs. I'm resting my hand on the right button while pressing the middle one.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah, that. Do not. There's a reason why I bound my up arrow to the rightmost button.
I'm gonna die here. Yep. That wasn't.
Come on.
That wasn't a Sayo thing. That's just gear on being gear on. That was still an incredible fucking run. Apparently, it used to be possible to like put your fingers between two buttons on the Sayo and achieve stupidly high CPS, but like that's not a thing anymore. Yeah, you would like do this with rapid trigger, and it would constantly engage and disengage both the buttons.
God damn.
You got El Progress.
What? Alright. I really wasn't playing for that long. How many attempts was that? That was 2 fucking attempts. What the hell? Oh. Alright. Sure. Okay. Sure. Oh my god. Wow. Holy fucking shit. Okay, I just did that. Sure. Alright. I'm not gonna be able to do this if it has invisible speed portals. That shit's cringe. Okay. The level itself isn't that hard. What fucks with me is how did I do that in 3 attempts? Should have taken me a little bit more than that, I think. Okay. Oh, I just did it. Sleep buff, let's go. Although I consistently died to the end before going to sleep. Let's fucking go. That was a fun one. What the fuck? Okay. Sure. Let's fucking go. Holy shit, dude. What? I really hit that. Wow. That's, like, not easy. I was planning to nerf that. Alright. That's... wow. Alright, cool. I know these clips aren't the hardest thing in the world, but these challenges are legitimately hard for me, and for me to just crush them, legitimately cool. And, only possible because of the Sayo. Some of these clips are easier than others, but the point is I flew through all of these. This has all been done in the span of a month thanks to this beast of a controller, so... yeah, I hope that proves my point, and, yeah. Thank you for watching.